Thing clear for the record. Mr. Chairman, you began by quoting people saying that we should be nice to witnesses, and I think that it's important that the record reflect that no comment about being nice to either Democratic or Republican witnesses ever came from me. Now, I want to go through a number of things for the witness to respond to for the record. You talked about the importance of small banks and credit unions being able to make business loans to companies in our districts. That's not a reason for us to take the giant banks off the hook for prudential regulation. It's their near collapse that nearly collapsed the economy. It's the reason for you to deal with the OCC, which is in your jurisdiction, and have them, when they audit banks, and those banks have a prime plus 4 or prime plus 5 loan to a company that's just a little shaky, that they have a reserve of just an extra 1 or 2% rather than 30 to 50%. You, Mr. Secretary, could do more than any of us to get small business loans made by local banks. The debt clock has been behind you. You commented on that. I would hope that any tax reform that came out of your department or that was supported by your department would not increase that debt according to the CBO. And we just voted in the House yesterday not to cut the CBO because they are the umpire here in Washington to determine what increases and decreases the deficit. I'd hope you would use your power on FSOC to break up the too big to fail banks. The debt limit is just over the horizon, and I hope that you would use your voice to remind us that it's not enough to deal with the debt limit in overtime, after you've used extraordinary measures to keep us from defaulting. The harm is to our economy now because investors have to price in the risk that America will default on its debt. You probably didn't think you'd be dealing with Armenia today. We need a U.S.-Armenia tax treaty. Your department needs to allocate one tax lawyer for a few weeks. And in making the decision as to whether to allocate a tax lawyer for a few weeks to the project, you'll be told that we should make the decision based upon the size of the business transactions with that country. I hope that you would direct your department to add 2 more criteria. The first is whether the other country is willing to use the U.S. model treaty. Because if they're willing to sign on our bottom line, you don't have to commit much in the way of resources to negotiating the treaty, and you build momentum internationally for other countries accepting the U.S. model. And second, I hope you'd listen to the State Department when they testified before my other committee, Foreign Affairs, just yesterday, that it is important geopolitically that we have this treaty. So I will get you the letter from the government of Armenia saying they're willing pretty much to sign the bottom line that the United States has presented. Now I've got some questions. Is China a currency manipulator today?
First of all, on Armenia, we're happy to follow up on your office. I do stay on top of a lot of issues, but I must admit that's not one I'm on top of. But we will.
That's one you should respond to for the record. I look forward to working with you. Is China a currency manipulator?
I think, as you saw in our most recent currency report, we did not label China a currency manipulator at this time. However, they have been a currency manipulator in the past.
Since they have been a currency manipulator, are you in favor of tariffs or other actions to recoup for America the jobs we lost when they were a currency manipulator? Or is it that they can, as long as what they did was in the past, we're not going to respond?
I can assure you that the President Trump is very focused on the economic and trade issue with China, and nothing in the past is in the past.
Let me squeeze in
one more. All tools will be on the table.
One more question, and that is, your department fined ExxonMobil for violating our sanctions against Russia. Are you confident that your department made the right decision, and why aren't you holding any individuals responsible, since a corporation is an inanimate construct? Individual people undermined our sanctions.
Let me first comment that obviously I am highly aware of the situation and the decision. It is under litigation, so it would be inappropriate for me to make any specific comments. And thank you for being nice on me since I'm a California resident.
I'll get you next time.
Time, and the gentleman has